This is a Fonzie Studio podcast. Welcome to Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and every week I'll share with you a tale and ancient wisdom of the native tribes of North America. I'll be joined by my cats, Dawa and Fonzie, who will undoubtedly make their presence known at some point, so I might as well just list them as co-hosts. We hope you'll enjoy the tales and wisdom, raise your vibration, and enrich your life with us every week. Welcome, friends. Welcome to the 49th episode of Tales from the First Nations. I'm your host, Jay Idle. Now, as I was sitting down to research today's episode, I got some terrible news. My friend's dog died. Her name was Mila. She was a 9-year-old German Shepherd, and she was great. The friend of my friend discovered Mila in a tiny cage at a horse farm next to another German Shepherd male by the name of Hector. And over the past few years, kind of as a community, we had come together to help Hector and Mila, and it was great because their lives were really, really tough. When they were in that tiny cage, once a day someone would throw food in through the bars towards their food dish and throw some water through the bars towards their water dish, and that was basically all the food or water or human interaction that they ever had. So it was good that my friend's friend was able to get involved and get them to a nice, new, loving home. Hector is still living a good life. I'm sure he misses Mila as much as we all are, but in honor of Mila, I wanted to look at dogs today. Dogs usually play the role of a loyal helper and friend of man in the Native American folklore, just as they do in most other world mythologies. Many Native American folktales have to do with the proper treatment of dogs. People who are kind and generous to them often get rewarded, while people who abuse them or disrespect them or even simply annoy them get rather harshly punished. Now, presumably these legends reflect the high esteem that many tribes held the dogs in. Dogs were the only domesticated animals in most of the North American areas, so they played a crucial role as pack animals, helping to hunt, protect the camp. They were also raised for food in some tribes, which is not necessarily incompatible with the themes of respect that they showed all animals that were regularly eaten by them, such as the buffalo or the bears. They were all highly respected as well, and so there were taboos in how they could be treated, but food was food, and if you were hungry, you did what you had to do. Now, occasionally dogs are representative of Native American folklore as having negative traits, like being gullible, easily distracted, maybe even a tattletale, but generally speaking, most Native Americans considered dogs a symbol of friendship and loyalty. Dogs were also occasionally used as clan animals in some cultures. Tribes with dog clans include the Menominee tribe and the Ottawa tribe. The dog was also the symbol of several warrior societies of the Great Plains, such as the Crazy Dog Society of the Cow tribe, or the highly respected dog soldiers of the Cheyenne. Now, to the Cheyenne, the dog represented fierce guardianship and self-sacrifice. So today, we have 3 stories for you in honor of our canine companions. And I'd like to start with the Cree story about how dogs became man's best friend. This is how Indians obtained dogs. There lived alone one winter a hunter, his wife, and their only child, a little boy of 4 years. Deep snow covered the ground and game was scarce. One day the hunter discovered the track of a buffalo and followed it, but he failed to overtake the animal. Late at night, he returned to his teepee and, before entering, stopped to scrape the snow from his moccasins. But as he stood outside in the snow, he heard his little boy crying from hunger within the tent, and the voice of his wife trying to comfort him. "Don't cry, my son," she said. "Perhaps your father has killed a buffalo. That may be why he is late in coming home." Resolutely, the man turned back into the night and prayed for help as he resumed his hunting. Just before dawn, he came upon other buffalo tracks and kept following them. Suddenly, a wolf ran right up to him and said, "My son, why are you weeping?" "I'm in sore need. My wife and child are starving." "Hide behind these bushes here," said the wolf, "and use my bow and arrows. I will drive the buffalo toward you, but be sure to use my bow and arrows, not your own." The wolf disappeared, and the hunter examined the bow that had been given to him. It was much smaller than his own and seemingly much inferior. Yet he remembered the wolf's instructions, and when he heard it driving the buffalo towards him, he took up the small bow and shot 6 arrows, one after another. When the 7th and last buffalo approached him, however, he took up his own box and shot. The animal escaped. Now the wolf returned. "What luck did you have?" it asked. "I killed 6 with your bow and arrows. For the last one I used my own bow and it escaped." "I warned you not to use it," the wolf said. "However, we have enough meat." Together they butchered the animals, and at the wolf's request, the hunter set aside portions of 2 buffalo for his companion's children. Then he carried as much meat as he could pack on his back to his starving wife and child. That same evening, after they had satisfied their hunger, they dismantled their tent and moved to where the carcasses lay. There, the wolf joined them with all his family and lingered fearlessly around their camp. The woman fed the animals with waste cuts of meat until they became quite tame. They would even allow her to harness Travers to their backs. Thereafter, they always remained with the Indians and became their dogs. There is a reason that dogs are always known as man's best friend. You can always count on them for companionship, protection, and help at any time. But beyond a personal best friend, this next Achomowi legend tells us how the dog saved all of us after a terrible flood. The Achomowi people lived in the area that is now northeastern California, and according to them, the lovable dog helped us regain fire when a terrible flood ended. After Hawk had been killed and the flood had subsided, people found that all the fires were put out all over the world. Nothing could be cooked, but for a time people did not trouble about it. Then, after a few days, they began to talk about it and sent Owl to Mount Shasta to look all over the world and see if he could find any trace of fire. Owl took a feather blanket and went. Lizard watched him go and told the people how he was getting on. But after a while, the owl did not come back. People thought he was dead. But Lizard said, "Shh, I can see him." Owl got to the top at last, very tired and wet with sweat. Lizard saw him look all about. He looked west twice, and there saw smoke coming from a sweat house. After a while, Owl came down from the mountain and, coming back, told people what he had seen. Next morning, he got ready and went off to the west, to where the smoke had been seen. Everyone had a cedar bark torch. Dog had some punk hidden in his ears. Late in the evening, they arrived at the house and asked to be allowed to warm their hands. Dog held his ears down, and fire caught in the punk. Then everyone thrust their torches into the fire and ran. The people in the house were angry and struck at them as they ran off. Coyote's fire gave out first, then another's, and another's, until finally all were out, except that which Dog had in his ears. The people who owned fire had made it rain, and this put out the people's torches. No one knew that Dog had fire. They got home and were much troubled, for they thought the fire had all been lost. Dog was laughing and said, I am sweating." Coyote got angry at this and said, "Hit him, knock him out." Then Dog said to Fox, "Look at my ear." When he did so, he saw the fire. He took out the punk, made fire from it, and so people got fire again. There are a lot of stories about fire, which just goes to show how important it was to us and how important the animals who provided it to us were and how they were revered for it. Our show started on a sad note, so I thought I'd like to end on a happy note with a funny story. It comes from the Brule Sioux, who came from the area that is now South Dakota, Nebraska, and Montana. In this story, Lame Deer will explain one of our dog's most peculiar behaviors. This is called The Dogs Hold an Election. Once, a long time ago, the dogs were trying to elect a president. So one of them got up in the big dog conference and said, "I nominate the bulldog for president. He's strong. He can fight." "But he can't run," said another dog. "What good is a fighter who can't run? We won't catch anybody." Then another dog got up and said, "I nominate the greyhound because he sure can run." But the other dogs cried, "Nah, he can run all right, but he can't fight. When he catches up with something, what will he do? He gets the hell beaten out of him, that's what. So, it's good for running away, and that's all." Then an ugly little mutt jumped up and said, "I nominate the dog for president who smells good underneath his tail." And immediately, an equally ugly mutt jumped up and yelled, "I second the motion." All at once, the dogs started sniffing underneath each other's tails. A big choir went up. "Whew, he doesn't smell good under his tail. Whew, no, neither does this one. Ugh, he's no president. Ah, he's no good either. Ugh, this one sure isn't the people's choice. Ah, wow, this isn't my candidate." So, when you go out for a walk, just watch the dogs. They're still sniffing under each other's tails. They're looking for a good leader, and they still haven't found one. I like that little dog tale. Perfect to end the show on. In honor of my friend Mila, I ask that you be kind to animals, and if you find one in need, please help them out. There are a lot of wonderful animal agencies that rescue animals and help them find good homes. So for my friend Mila, please help them if you can. It's with respect and gratitude that I offer you my blessings and my thanks for sharing your journey with me and sharing your time with me on this podcast. I wish you well and look forward to sharing another story with you next week. If you enjoy this podcast, then please like and review it on your podcast service so we can expand our growing family. Go in peace, return in peace, and may you be well. A lot of my research today came from nativelanguages.org. That's native-languages.org. Our first story, How the Indians Obtained Dogs, comes from the South Peace Historical Society at calverley.ca. That's calverley.ca. Our second story, Search for Fire, comes from sacred-texts.com, texts, Texts. And our third story comes from the now defunct pyramidmesa.com. The Dog Holds an Election was told by Lame Deer at Winner Rosebud Indian Reservation, South Dakota in 1969. For more great stories and legends, check out the Jaguar Bird channel on YouTube. There's a lot of wonderful content there, and of course, you can join us here next week for another story on Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and I'll talk to you next time. The beautiful music you hear right now is provided by my dear friend Scott Brocklesby, and the podcast Image of the Moon was provided by Mark Lawton. We'll see you next time. right, that's it. How do we do, Dawa? Phones? Excellent. Then I'll share it.